And during this process, Mr. President, what should be Africa's role? Because you are the only African leader that is present there at the G20 economies. So what should be and could be and will be Africa's role?
Well, firstly, Africa has a particular history. Africa, I think, of all the regions of the world, was the only one which was totally colonized and stayed, therefore, for a long time without Africa doing its own things. When the countries from Europe were actually suppressing them for many years. I think it was only in the decade of the 60s that they began to get their independence. So whilst other countries were moving, they were, in a sense, trapped in the colonial situation. And they had to get a phase where they were fighting for their liberation. But also, the colonialists had come to occupy and dominate their resources, so to speak. So whatever Africa is trying to do now is coming up from a very heavy kind of suppression. And therefore, Africa is lagging behind. But Africa is saying it's a region that is emerging, that is now for the first time is trying to come together so that they have a collective kind of an approach as a region, and therefore it sees its future. And of course, South Africa, as one of the big economies in the continent, is a member of a G20. And South Africa does not represent itself only, but South Africa really, it's being there, it represents the continent, and therefore it speaks on behalf of the continent, whilst it is speaking also on its own behalf.
During this year's G20 summit, the Chinese President Xi Jinping has made very clear at the very beginning that Africa will be one of the focal points. But it also depends on the other 19 economies of the G20, whether that will be the case and whether there will be concrete results. What do you think so far? We are already at the end of the summit.
Yes, the summit, we are at the end of the summit. Of course, President Xi Jinping made that point very clear, loud and clear, and nobody opposed that proposal. So everybody accepted that proposal, partly because they know the position of Africa, where Africa comes from. They also know the challenges of Africa. And therefore, it is accepted that there must be a specific approach that is given to Africa. So that is accepted by the members, all members.